So we will be starting with the number 18 of page 447 in the Modeling the World textbook for AP Statistics. So just looking at the quick situation, we're going to look for two things. We're going to look for the p-score, which is the 46%, 0.46, and then we're going to look for the p-hat, which is 77 over 180. So now we're just going to write it all down. We're going to do p equals 0.46 to start with, and then we're going to do our hypothesis. So our null hypothesis is going to be p equals 0.46, and then our HA is going to be p is less than 0.46. So now we're going to do our assumptions from phantoms, and the first one is not random, which it needs to be, but this school represents the population enough. And then we need to make sure that our n value is less than 10% of the population, of all of the population, so 180 is less than 10% of all students. And then we need at least 10 successes and 10 failures, so we need to do 180 times 0.46, and that's going to give us 82.8. And then we also need to do 180 times 0.54 to give us 97.2. And that's going to be more than 10 successes and 10 failures. So next we're going to name our test, and that's going to be the one proportion z-test. So now for t, we're going to do our p-hat. We're going to find our p-hat, and that's a 77 over 180. And that equals 0.4278. So now O is all about obtaining the p-value, but we're going to do that on another slide. So obtaining the p-value is using the normal scale, using the mean and the standard deviation and the z-score, since we're working with proportions. So the mean is going to be the 0.46 in the middle, and then we're going to find the standard deviation of p-hat. So we already found the mean of p-hat, but the standard deviation is the square root of 0.46 and 0.54 over 180, so that's over n, and that's going to give us 0.0371 for the standard deviation. So next we're going to find the z-score, and the z-score is going to be our p-hat minus the regular p-value that we found in the beginning, and it's going to be over the standard deviation that we just found, which is the 0.0371. And that's going to give us negative 0.8679. So now you're going to plug all that into the normal CDF, with the lower bound being a lower negative number in order to find our p-value, and then our upper bound is negative 0.867. And that's going to be the 0.1927. So now we're going to work on finding our m in our phantoms, which is going to be the context of which the p-value relates. So it's going to be the p-value is higher than the 0.05 that we usually compare it to, and we're going to fail to reject the null hypothesis. And that's a big thing, so we want to fail to reject it. We don't accept it, but we fail to reject it. And then for S, it's just sort of like further explanation and like suggestions. So there is not enough evidence to prove that the acceptance rate is less than 46% because our p-value is higher than 0.05, so we fail to reject the null hypothesis, which equals p equals 0.46. So there. And that is how you do hypothesis testing for proportions.